Dear students and my teacher friends, Namaskar. I welcome you to the presentation lecture on structure of pea plant flower. So today with this lecture we are starting the lecture series of genetics, and the first lecture that today we are going to discuss about is the structure of pea plant flower. Now, the reason why I chose this topic because, as you know, the father of genetics is Gregor John Mendel. So, let me show you the photograph of the great scientist Gregor John Mendel. So, here you can see on the right hand side, as you can see, Gregor John Mendel, and Mendel is known as the father of genetics due to his research in the field of genetics. Now here in this paragraph, now now for his research, for his studies, Mendel chose the garden pea plant, and the scientific name of the garden pea plant is Pisum sativum. So here, as you can see in this para, it is written that Mendel chose the garden pea plant Pisum sativum to investigate the natural laws that govern plant hybrid. So we know that Mendel has given us the laws of heredity, okay, and for his research, for his study, he chose the garden pea plant, that is Pisum sativum. Now, the reproductive features of this plant are shown in figure 2.2a and 2.2c. So I will show you both the figures. Okay. Now, now the question comes in our mind: why Mendel chose particularly for his research? Why he chose the garden pea plant? So, in garden pea plant, there are some peculiar characteristics which are present, and this makes the pea plant different from other plant, and that's why it was very easier to differentiate, to view different characteristics easily in garden pea plant. So that's why Mendel chose the garden pea plant. So in pea plant, what happened? First, the species was available in several varieties. So different characteristics, different peculiarities were observed in garden pea plant, and these peculiarities, these varieties were that the plant varied in height. So some pea plant were the taller one and some are the shorter one. Then the appearance of the flower. So as you can see, the flower color, some are having purple color, and some plants are having the white flower. Then seed color is different. Some seeds are yellow in color, some are green in color. Then the seed surface, so some seeds are having a smooth surface, some are having the wrinkle surface. Then the pod colors is different. Okay, so some are having the yellow color and some pods are having the green color. So there are a huge number in the traits, in the characteristic of the pea plant, and that's why Mendel chose the garden pea plant. So now I'm showing you one table, and in that table you will see that which are the characteristic that Mendel has studied. Okay, so you observe the table. So this is the table. See, at the bottom of the table, here it is written figure 16.2, the several characters that Mendel studied, okay, in pea plant. So these characters are these 7 characters. So over here you see on the left hand side character, okay, character and variant or traits. So flower color. So some plants are having purple flower and some plants are having white flower. Then flower position is also different. Okay, in some plant the flower are present axially, and in some plant the flowers are present terminally. Then seed color is also different one. Some seed are having the yellow color, then in some plant the seed color is green, then seed shape round or wrinkle. Okay, so in some seed the surface is smoother one, and in some seed the surface is rough or wrinkle, or it is not smooth. Then pod color is also different. See, green color pod, and in some plant yellow color pod. Then the pod shape is also different. Some pods are having smooth surface, and as you can see in other pods they are having the constricted surfaces. Then the height, some plant are the tall, they are having more height, that means they are the taller one. Okay, and some plants are not tall, so they are the dwarf ones. So these are the 7 characteristics that Mendel has studied. Okay. Now here on left hand side, as you can see, this is the this is the pea plant flower is shown, and this is here figure 2.2 anatomy of the garden pea plant flower. So now the in the pea plant flower, what happened, the female reproductive organs are present and the male reproductive organs are also present. So that's why it is very easy for pea plant flower to self fertilize. So most of the time the pea plant flower tend to self fertilize, and the female reproductive part known as pistil, and the pistil is composed of 3 part. First part is known as the stigma, and the supporting portion is known as style, and at the base we are having ovary. So once again, female reproductive organ are known as pistil in the pea plant flower, and pistil is composed of stigma, supporting style, and the ovary. So here you can see, here you see, this one is the stigma. Okay, then this is the style, and this one is the ovary. So this 3 part composes the pistil. Now the male reproductive part, so male reproductive part is known as stamen. Okay, so here stamen. Now stamen is made up of anther and filament. So here you can see this one. This one is the anther, and this is the filament. Okay, so anther and filament together, they are known as stamen. Okay, and in the anther, in the inside the anther, pollens are formed. So this is the figure, and this figure is showing us the anatomy of the garden pea plant flower. Now we are moving forward. Okay, now I'm showing you one more figure so you can have more clarity about the structure of pea plant flower. Now here in this figure, see figure 16.3, flower structure in pea plant. Now the pea flower produces both male and female gametes. Okay, so female gametes are formed and male gametes are formed within the pea flower itself. Now the sperms are formed in the pollen produced within the stamen. So this is, here they are showing the, this is the stamen they are showing, and this one is the anther in which the pollen grains are produced, and this one is the filament. So anther and filament together known as stamen. Okay, and egg cells are produced in the ovule. So this is the ovary, and these all are the ovule. This one is ovule, then this one is ovule, this one is ovule, this one is ovule, this one ovule, this one ovule. So in the ovule egg cells are formed. Okay, now the petal, these are the petal. Okay, these are the petal. Okay, and what these petals are doing, they are enclosing, petals are enclosing the male reproductive organ and the female reproductive organ. So petals are enclosing the pistil and the stamen. So that's why it becomes very easier for pea plant flower to self fertilize, because the arrangement of the pistil is such that it encloses the male reproductive organ and the female reproductive organ. So it becomes very easy for pollen grain, okay, to fall over the stigma. Okay. Okay, now we are moving forward. One more figure I would like to show you. Okay. Now this is, see, okay. So here you see a flowering pea plant. Okay, and this is the anatomy, or we can say structure of pea plant flower. So here you can see, here you see the petals are shown. Okay, now pistil we know compose female reproductive organ. So stigma, then style, and ovary. Okay, so pistil, female reproductive organ made up of stigma, style, and ovary. And inside the ovary, as you can see, these are all ovules are present. Now stamen, male reproductive organ. So stamen is composed of anther and filament. So anther and filament together they form the stamen. Now in the anther, pollen grains are produced. Okay. Now here in this figure, okay, see in this figure, see this is the point number 1. Over here it is written, I have written over here this point, first point. Now in flowering plant, reproduction occurs by a pollination event. Okay, now what is pollination? So we know in the anther pollen grain is produced, and transfer of pollen grain from the anther to the stigma, that process is known as pollination. So in flowering plants, what happen? The event of pollination, that is the transfer of pollen grain from anther to stigma, is taking place, and that's how the reproduction take place. That's how the fertilization take place in the flowering plants. So this is the first point. Over here it is written. Okay. Now the see, once in the figure you see over here, from the anther, from the anther now from the anther, from here to here, from anther to stigma, the pollen grains are transferred. Okay, and this process is known as pollination. Now see, now the where the pollen grain is present, so pollen grain is present on the stigma. Now once the pollen grain is present on the stigma, what happens? Pollen grain, here it receives moisture, it absorbs water. Pollen grain receives moisture, it absorbs water, and pollen grain also get the nutritive substance. And as the so, in short, on the stigma, pollen grain is absorbing the moisture, water, and it is also getting the nutritive substance. So now pollen grain is germinating. Okay, and as you can see, after the germination, this pollen grain travels into the pollen tube. Now, in the pollen tube, you can see two sperms are already produced. Okay, so now there are two sperm, and in each sperm one n means one set of chromosome, haploid set of chromosome is there in each sperm. So this was the first point. In first point we have discussed about the pollination, then the germination of pollen grain on stigma, and after that there is a formation of pollen tube, and in the pollen tube two sperms are present, and each sperm is having one N chromosome. That means the haploid set of chromosome is present. Okay, now uh, the second point, see, in the second point, this is the second point. Male gametes are known as sperm. Okay, so male gamete or the sperm, they are produced within the pollen grain that we have already seen, and the pollen grains are produced in the anther. And the female gamete, also known as eggs, so female gamete or eggs are produced within the ovules that form in the ovaries. So inside the ovary, ovules are present. Inside the ovary, ovules are present, and in the ovule, female gamete or the eggs are produced. Okay, so here in the figure, see, in this figure, this is the this one, see, this is the entire first, this is the entire ovary, this is the ovary they are showing. Okay, and in the ovary, see, ovule containing embryo sac. Okay, then egg, so egg, over here the egg cell is shown, and in the egg cell one set of chromosome, haploid set of chromosome is there. Now if you observe the ovule closely, you will find in the center two nuclei are present. So these are the two polar nuclei which are present, and in both the nuclei one N, that is one set of chromosome is present. So in the center two polar nuclei, okay, central cell with two. So in the center, once again, in the center central cell is there, and in the central cell two polar nuclei are there, and in this polar nuclei one set of chromosome is there. Okay, so this is the entire arrangement of the female reproductive organs. Okay, and here we see the process of pollination, and it is followed by the fertilization process. Now what happens in fertilization, that we are going to discuss now. So third point we have discussed. Okay, first point we have discussed, second point we have already discussed. Now the fourth point. Okay, now in the fourth point, what is written, this enables sperm cell to enter the stigma and migrate toward the ovule. So here you can see that the pollen grain, once it is germinated, the pollen tube is formed, and this pollen tube is traveling in this style, and this pollen tube is moving towards the ovule. Okay, and in the pollen tube already the two sperms are present. now now the fifth point. In the fifth point, now the fifth point, fertilization take place when a sperm enters the micropyle. So here you can see, this is the pollen tube, and this pollen tube is going to elongate. It is going to elongate this way. Okay, this way it is going to elongate, and two sperms are there. Okay, this is the one, and this one is the second. Okay, these are the two sperm, and both the sperms are entering in the ovule. So one sperm is going to fuse with this egg cell, and the another sperm is going to fuse with the central cell. Okay, so once the sperm joins with the egg cell, the zygote is formed. Okay, and when the another sperm, when joined with the central cell, so that cell is now known as the endosperm nucleus. So the central cell, which was having two polar nuclei, after fertilization with the sperm, it is known as endosperm nucleus, and now this cell is having three set of chromosome, and the egg cell, which was fused by the sperm cell. So now this zygote is having diploid set of chromosome. Two set of chromosomes are present in the zygote, and this is the pollen tube they have shown to us. Okay, and you see how this pollen tube enters into the ovule from this small opening which is present in the wall. Okay, so this opening in the ovule wall is known as the micropyle, and from the micropyle this pollen tube is entering, and this two sperms are released in the ovule. After the release of sperm, one sperm fuse with the egg cell, and one sperm fuse with the central cell. So central cell is now, after fertilization, it is known as endosperm nucleus, and the egg cell after fertilization with the sperm is known as the zygote. Okay, so yeah, with this we have completed our discussion on structure of pea plant flower, and this entire process that we have discussed, that is known as the self fertilization in pea plant flower. So I hope you have, and this all this information you can, 1 minute. All this information you can read So with this we have completed our discussion on structure of pea plant flower. I hope you have enjoyed this lecture. My name is Manish Kosti sir. I am from Ahmedabad, India. Bye bye. Namaste.